sometimes breaking up with a friend is even more painful than with a romantic partner. Something performer Gabe Mollica learned the hard way. He shares the heartbreak and humor of love, betrayal, and trying to make friends in your 30s in his one-man show, Solo, which I had the pleasure of seeing ahead of opening night in Boston. Gabe Mollica joins me now. Thank you so much for being here. I loved your show.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was a lot of fun. It had a lot of depth, but there's a lot in there to talk about. You begin the show by talking about realizing when you were in your 30s, you didn't have any friends. You had bros,
yeah,
but not friends. Explain the difference.
Yeah, so bros in my life are kind of just like guys we watch movies, we play sports, we play video games together, but we don't really know anything about each other. The big moment in the show is that my mother asks me, your friend Nick, his sister had a baby. How does he feel about being an uncle? And I was like, I have no idea how Nick feels about anything.
Right, right.
You know, we don't have that type of relationship. It's all shoulder to shoulder as opposed to face to face.
But this is somebody you spend a lot of time with, but you don't, you know. Yeah.
By all accounts, my best friend in the world. And I was like, wait, do I not know anything about him? And that question sort of lingers throughout the show. It's like, how well do you know your friends?
Yeah. It made me think a lot about my own friendships, and I've been very lucky. You know, I have a strong group of friends. But most of them are from college or from high school. The people since then are mostly friends through work. It is hard to make friends as an adult. That's something you actually talk about in the show. I think we have a clip of that.
I go to parties. I try to meet guys. It's hard to meet guys because I'm judgmental. You know, I'll go to a party and I'll meet a guy and he's like, hey, I work in tech. And I'm like, well, we had a good run.
I love that. What is it that makes it so hard to make friends as an adult?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in high school and college, like, it's community-based, it's about making friends, it's part of your socialization, and at a certain point, it just kind of gets cut out, right? We try to meet romantic partners, there's apps for that, but then there's, like, apps for making friends, and I'm like, who is this for? Like, I don't want to be a part of that, and it's just, it's a difficult thing, and it's something that I've been able to connect with a lot of people doing the show so much. People come up to me all the time, oh my God, I feel this way too.
Yeah. It hasn't always been the case that you didn't have friends. You did have a close friend in college named Tim. What was different about that friendship?
Yeah, it was just one of those friendships where, and I think we all can relate to this in some way, in college we just spend all our time together.
Right.
We'd stay up really late in a classroom, debating, arguing, watching YouTube videos, riffing. And we got really close when we started working at a Paul Newman camp together for children with illnesses. Mm-hmm. And when you do something like that, it's a pretty sacred activity. Like, those kids are really special. And you bond in this sort of way that's beyond, oh, we're having beers late at night.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're connecting in this new way. And yeah, for a long time, like, I would have said, this guy's my best friend. We're super, super close. We live together. We spend all our time together. And then we sort of had a falling out, and that's sort of the basis of the show.
Right. It becomes about that friendship and the loss of that friendship. I hope I'm not revealing too much to say that, you know, a little love triangle situation.
Yeah.
He winds up getting together with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
And that ends the friendship and the romantic relationship. Which of those two was harder to lose, the romantic relationship or that friendship that you had with Tim?
Yeah, I mean, everyone at the time was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry about you and the girlfriend. And for me, I was like, oh, like, I'll meet another romantic partner. It was this friendship that felt so stark. And I will add, too, that I am not against love. Like, if people I love each other, I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
It's sort of like how it happened is sort of like the crux of...
It's a betrayal of you and of that friendship.
Yes, but in a way where it wasn't like, hey, this thing accidentally just happened. We didn't mean for it to happen. I want to make sure you're okay. Are you okay with this? Like, that I could deal with. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, hey, the two of us are dating. We're not sorry. Get over it. And that is the kind of the ultimate betrayal, which is I'm doing this thing and I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. And was it that part that was it unforgivable? That not that it happened, but how it was addressed?
Unforgivable is such a strong word.
Yeah.
I always like to think that I'm a pretty open person, and that if somebody came to me and was like, man, I feel bad about this. I'm sorry you had a tough time with that I'd be open to that. And, you know, the show was turned into an episode of This American Life, and this is a big theme that's on that episode.
I wanted to ask you about that because This American Life producer they don't just run a clip of your show. You wrote a one-man show about this.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. But then This American Life didn't just run a clip of it. They actually invited Tim to come and see the show and then interviewed you and him about it after. He hadn't seen the show. What was that like for you, and how has that changed how you feel about what happened, and also what has it done for your career? I mean, that was a pretty big audience suddenly.
Yeah, it was an intense thing. I feel like a lot of artists make albums and secretly you're like, oh, Adele wrote this song about so-and-so or whatever. Now, can you imagine Adele performing that whole album to that person and then talking about it afterwards? Like, it's an intense thing to kind of go through. Credit to Tim for showing up and doing it. Like, he did not have to at all. He could have definitely stayed home. But yeah, it's an intense thing to kind of like share your art about somebody to that person and hope that they like it. And if you listen to the episode of This American Life, like, he's not unkind about it, but I wouldn't say he's like, man, this is great, congrats.
No, he's I would say he was unkind. That's
sure.
I wanted to ask lastly about just the emotional, taxing nature of doing this show. You're very vulnerable on stage. You're telling a lot of things that are difficult to talk about. You've been doing the show for what, 5 years now?
Yeah.
That must be just emotionally exhausting.
Yeah, it's emotionally exhausting, but afterwards, and you saw this last night, I sit and chat with people afterwards. Like, the show is a dialogue. I really try to eliminate the fourth wall. People talk to me, they send me DMs. It is communicative. And so I want people to feel like they know me and that they can relate to me in different ways. And like, last night's conversation will probably be different from tonight's conversations with the audience. And so that's really important to me. So it's taxing, yes, but I feel like it's my job as a comedian and as a storyteller to be really vulnerable, and then people can reflect that in whatever way works for them.
One thing I don't think emphasized enough is how hilarious the show actually
thank
is.
you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you for coming on to talk with us a little bit more about it.
My pleasure. This was so fun.
Gabe Mollica, thanks for being here. You can catch Solo, a show about friendship, at the Huntington Theater's Calderwood Pavilion now through this Sunday, April 21st. For tickets and more information, head to bostontheaterscene.com. That's theater with an R-E.